My name is Mark Firehammer, and oh my God, I've done so many things, but today I'm wearing two hats. I'm a certified mind-body business consultant. I'm one of maybe 40 or 50 in the world. And I'm also the co-founder and creator of FitStreams. It's that logo you see over my shoulder.
Yes.
And FitStreams is in a community environment where, you know, in the spirit of what we were just talking about, it's an invitation to other fitness professionals to package their awesomeness in a way that a different buyer will buy. And we've got 10 instructors now, and I come to this at 59 years old, knowing nothing about fitness until about 10 years ago. I didn't know what Pilates was. I only knew what was on the magazine covers. Yes. And I owned a digital marketing agency for 20 years. I still do. And I met the owner of this business, Katrina. She's a senior educator for Polestar. You may know her. She's delightfully nerdy and really into the physiology of fitness, and she's super cool. And she said, we went for a hike, and she said, "What's wrong with your knee?" And I was like, well, since you noticed, I'd been favoring it for a decade because I had a surgery that didn't go well. Okay. And what she taught me, and Pilates taught me in one day, was that the problem with my knee was almost entirely in my head. My body had been compensating to protect what I was afraid was hurting and in pain for so long that it was a habitual pattern of compensating. Yeah. So in a day, she gave me my legs back. And that meant 10 years of not doing things that I love, like scrabbling up rock faces and running through the woods if I choose to, were then a possibility again. And I'm just so grateful, not only to her, but to Pilates in general for, I did P90X years ago because I'm the virtual buyer. I'm not the gym guy, right? Okay. I'm the buyer that you guys all want. Right. I buy videos and I work out at home, and it was great, but I aggravated the knee because I didn't have expertise helping me to reorient my strengths and weaknesses so that I wasn't relying on my hips so much. Mm-hmm.
There's when I was doing like a personal training, like education manager type role, someone said to me once the line that everybody in the fitness world needs one of three things, or all of these three things: education, motivation, and accountability. Yeah. So you may have education and accountability, but no motivation. Or you may be motivated, but don't have the education. Or you may have accountability, but you know what I'm saying? So you can have some combination of those three.
Yeah, you need the three-legged stool, not the two-legged stool. Yeah, because if you're only on one or two legs, you're eventually going to fall off.
Right.
I like that. That. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, because you said like for the virtual buyer, they may be able to just say like, I'm motivated, so I'm just going to do it myself. But then they're missing that education piece.
Right. Well, one of the beauties of the modern technology that we have now, and FitStreams embodies this, is that you can do way more than just I call them scripted facilitations. Okay. It's a class for someone you never meet. So you don't get to educate much because you don't see their body. But you can remind them in this scripted facilitation that if you need education on a specific body part or a specific challenge, it's also here. Just go to the education tab. And, so we're counseling and advising and guiding our instructors to create the educational material in addition to the classes themselves.
Well, Mark, I think that's brilliant, because that's the thing. Whenever I ask people, like, how did you find Pilates? And then they give their story of coming from an injury or finding a performance goal or whatever it is, you want to replicate that experience for everyone that comes after you.
Right.
Right. So, and your Polestar colleague, I think it's Brent line, like to give him a positive movement experience.
Yeah. So, Brent Anderson talks about that a lot.
Yeah, that's his thing. And so even with this now, you're looking at like, okay, this is what Pilates did for me. And I was doing the virtual thing, but I didn't have the education. So we layer in this education piece so people can have that same potential for experience that I had. So that makes total sense.
Yeah, and we went a step farther too, because given that I've already admitted I'm not the gym guy, I've never have been. I'm the YouTube watcher. I learned to play golf watching YouTube videos. So, but the education was missing, and I thought, okay, so if we're going to do this, here we are in the pandemic. We never thought we would need this. I thought, why don't we make sure that each one of our instructors that wants it can put their booking widget on their course. So if somebody decides I really like Martin, for example, if you had a course on FitStreams,
yes,
and I really want to check in with Martin and get his eyes on my body and get his insights, they can book with the instructor right there within the course. And again, it's like, we don't care about competition. We don't care that our user is going to go over to you because we know they're going to come back, right? Yeah. It's all this circle of influence and support and the three-legged stool that you talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so tell us, talk a little bit more about this, the actual fit streaming, like what the platform does and how it's different, right? Because there's Pilates Anytime, there's Pilatesology, there's people who have done all their one-offs who are doing this, building it from the ground up by themselves.
My God, I'm so glad you just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the piece that you just said that I'm so passionate about helping people not do is everyone too many times, not everyone, everyone is never true, but a huge percentage is trying to do what you just said. They're trying to do their own thing in a way that depletes their resources. And I think who was I listening to? I have notes from an episode yesterday. Letitia Taylor.
Yes. Yeah,
Letitia Taylor talked about the learning curve and agonizing over a video. And to answer your question, what does the platform do? March 16th of 2020, that's when the governor of Massachusetts said you got to close your doors. And we're a small town fitness facility, but we're doing $500,000 a year. Pretty good for a town with 30,000 people in it. Yeah. And we're like, oh my God, we have 10 instructors. They all had to go on unemployment. So I was already there, and I'm the kind of the technical nerd. And what I did is I grabbed everybody's mobile phone, because as an on-demand fitness guy, I went to Pilates Anytime, and I love Pilates Anytime. Mm-hmm. If you know what you're doing already. The problem that I had with it is I couldn't see enough.
Okay.
I couldn't see enough. The instructors were so far away because they needed to fit whether they were standing or lying.
Yes.
So I thought, if we're going to do this, I want to make sure that guys like me who don't know what they're doing and don't automatically know what to do when you say, of dead bugs or femur arcs or, whatever, is we immediately started doing multicam, and we did it with mobile phones. And we simply logged them all into the same Zoom account. Okay. And then produced the class by pinning, just changing the pin.
That's so clever.
Yeah, we were doing 5 classes a day, 5 days a week. And that became arduous just from getting them all signed in. You have 5-minute turnover time. Yeah. So I did my homework, and I found that for $40 worth of software and an arsenal of 8 mobile phone quality cameras, yes. What you see behind me, we now can shoot a fully produced class with all the bells and whistles that, Letitia talked about, going into post-production and spending hours and hours and hours just to get one video. We're producing fully produced classes in the length of time it takes you to teach the class, with the instructional graphics, the lower thirds, the camera changes. Yeah. So that's what's different. You see everything you need to see if you're a novice. And we've got yoga, we've got kin stretch, we've got Pilates, we've got animal flow, and the door's open to anybody. And my vision is, because I only have one stream suite right now. Okay. And I'm opening up my request to the universe. I need studio owners that have the vision to call me up and say, hey, tell us what we need to do to build our own. And then we want to produce content, and we want to, if you're open to it, we want to put our content on FitStreams. And that's right with my vision, because I don't want everybody going to Vimeo Odd and spending $18,000 a year because they don't have to do the work. We're willing to let everybody put their content on here, and it doesn't cost them anything. We just share the revenue with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So then is that like a licensing model, a franchising almost model? What would that look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've got it set up now, Martin, as an affiliate. Okay. So as we have 10 instructors now, and Lori's actually here, one of the owners. Maybe I'll have her pop her head in. Yeah. One of the things that we do that sets us apart from other opportunities, and certainly sets us apart from anyone that tries to do it themselves, is we send out marketing materials in support of all the content every day to all of our instructors. Come in a little more. Say, hi.
Hey.
Here, you can have this one.
Oh, cool. Hi, Martin.
So
Hi.
we
Nice to meet you too.
Lori Johnson.
Hi.
So we send out the marketing piece and say, everybody share this. Do it on Instagram, do it on Facebook. Here's an email copy. Here's some graphics. Yes. And then everybody has their own link that keeps track of their referrals. And yes. They get to keep, what is it, 70, 80?
70 right now.
Right now, it's 70% of the revenue generated from their referrals. They keep it.
There you go.
Yeah, so and we're gonna allow soon, when we have more instructors, to people to price their thing independently. Mm-hmm. If they don't want it to be in the membership, they can want it separate, and they can put any price they need or want. Yeah.
Yes.
And in that case, we would simply say, okay, so if you want to charge $200, our cost to manage it all is a little bit. They'll probably end up with 90% of the revenue and not have to invest in their own platform.
Right.
Yeah.
They get to just do what they do, teach.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's just it, right? Like I was saying, like Mark, you're just talking about. I just slide over so Laura's more.
She's way better looking than me.
I see Coach Robin Renee here, Nicole. There's some very good Pilates instructors in the space here.
Cool.
Mark, you having the consulting background and the mind, body, and understanding all these different things, you have so much more capacity and headspace to do that. So like Laura's saying, like, I'm free to teach. So it's always to find that sweet spot between, what you're good at, what you love to do, and what brings you joy as well, right? Because I mean, some people have tons of energy for editing and they like it, but it's still a lot of time that's being consumed.
Right, and they're not changing the life through someone's body by facilitating their. I like to put the job that these ladies do, and you too, you're a man Pilates teacher, is your clients are looking for a transformation from a before state to an after state. And if you're editing, even though you might like it, you're not giving somebody their transformational journey. And I think Lori can speak to that in that for years, for a decade, she's running this business by the seat of her pants, flying by the seat of her pants.
I mean, my co-owner and I, Katrina, which Mark was introducing you to before, when we bought our studio, we learned as we went. We learned every step of the way. And what everyone always said was, wow, what is the secret to your success? Like, how are you guys doing this? And really it came down to, she's the teacher, and she oversees the other teachers, whereas I was doing all the business stuff, which a lot of studio owners don't have that kind of team. And we found that you can't do it all. You have to have somebody, you have to have a team, you have to have help.
Yeah, and if you try to do it all, it's a quality of life thing. Yeah. You can't. If you wear all those hats, you end up killing yourself.
Yeah, it's the wearing all those hats thing that you don't have to do that. Yeah. There's people out there that like that their job is to do the editing. Yeah. Their job is to do.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone in the chat has any questions, please put them in the comment section there, or use the question icon and put the questions up there. Mark, the other day I was saying, I was talking about when I started doing these core conversations, how I would have this conversation and then I would screen record. We were talking about like iPhones and stuff earlier. I would screen record the whole conversation, and then if someone called, it would drop it, right? Or if something would pop up, or I'd have alerts. So it would end up taking me like 4 hours to record the conversation. And then I put that up on YouTube. Like, it's like half of my day, which is fine when you're doing nothing because you're on a lockdown. But
sure. But that was a conversation with Letitia.
Yes, that's right. That was in that conversation as well. Because I mean, like, that was just being able to outsource just that one corner of the business. It has been so helpful. That 4 hours is back to helping people as opposed to sitting there waiting for a recording to finish.
When you said that, Martin, during Letitia's episode, I'm down in this wonderful playground down here by myself when we're not streaming. I literally got up out of my seat and, in support of your personal victory brand, I was like, he did it. He did it. He let go of it and he gave it to somebody else. He outsourced it.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, bravo.
For those of you in the chat, how many of you have gone the outsourcing route? Give me a little thumbs up little icon there. Just let us know if you've had the courage to let go of part of your baby so that it could actually grow. Right? Yeah. So that's that is the challenge, right? And then also,
Yeah.
real talk, the money part of it. Like you are going to save money, make money by doing it, but then you think of the upfront costs. How do I afford an
Yeah.
assistant, or how do I afford an on-demand platform? How do I afford market whatever instead of doing my web design myself and making it, like that piece? Like, what do you say to someone who just says, I simply don't have the money yet for outsourcing and resourcing?
Yeah, it's a good question. Laura and I were just talking about this before we came on with you, in that before I came aboard, the girls didn't know what their advertising spend was giving them. They had a vague sense that worked, and what I gave them was accountability with documentation and spreadsheets that track it. We know to the penny when we spend $1 on advertising, say, let's for example, Google Ads, and then they visit the website, and then we retarget them if they don't convert.
Mm-hmm.
For every dollar this month, I believe the number is $9.45 we make back for every dollar we spend.
Okay.
So the answer to the question is I can't afford marketing because you don't realize that you can actually make more money than what you spend if you do it right.
And if you know,
Yeah.
if you know what the results are,
you can't not market. You can't not spend if you're making $9 for every buck.
Okay, so I agree with that wholly.
Yeah.
Now, how do I find the right marketing person? Because everyone and their sister says that they can do it, and then you put out $10,000 on a marketing strategy, and then someone says you don't need to do that. You can spend $5, and then you don't get any return on investment on the five, and you overspend on the 10 grand, and then you're just, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you even, like, what questions do you ask to find the right person to even help you to get there?
Yeah, that is such a great question, and it's a real conundrum. And, 20 years as a digital marketer and agency owner, we are the company that we keep. And I know there's a lot of great marketers out there, but there's also a lot of marketers that shiny objects. They dangle the shiny object and they say, just do this and you're going to be successful. And all they're really doing is taking your money.
Right.
And I've lost my passion to be a full-on digital marketer. I only now work for fitness businesses. If somebody goes to my agency site and clicks through and said, "Oh, hi, I'm a dentist," I tell them, "I'm sorry, I can't help you. We're focusing strictly on fitness right now because I can speak the language and show that we're walking talk." So here's the answer to the question. It took me a while to get there, Mark. My brain has so much going on.
I follow you.
Is that you want to make sure that if you hire a marketer, that they can show you another business that is in the same niche. Fitness is a broad niche. It doesn't have to be yoga, Pilates, but fitness.
Right.
Go with one that can show you this is what I've done for them, which is what makes us compelling in the mind-body consultant pool, because we actually run a Pilates studio all day, every day. Many of them, they're great consultants, but they stopped running a business.
Yes.
So you want to find somebody who is either running the same kind of business as you and has consulting on the side, or clients just like you, and you can show case studies. I would ask for case studies.
Yeah, exactly. Even referrals from those clients too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was a long way around to your answer, but it's a complicated.
No, that's the same as asking, how do you get what Pilates studio do I go to, right? Like, well, listen to get referrals. Like, you build that referral base, and then that brings some credibility and a sense of connection with that studio, right? So same thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm curious about what you're doing. I know you're only 2 instructors right now, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And are you going word of mouth?
I go word of mouth. I mean, I do a lot of the social media stuff is really key, right? Like, the Real Men Do Pilates page, where I'm just really trying to connect with men with movement. And then also I say, like, I'm global and hyper local at the same time.
Yeah.
So the global piece is this, talking with you in Massachusetts, right? Or someone in the chat who's in Africa or Wales or Australia or something. They could be anywhere globally when we're doing this. But at the same time, I'll do like a free class for the community during the lockdown because the community centers are closed.
Yeah.
So I want to do something. I do Pilates for my son's basketball team. So I want to have something that's hyper local, like really serving my immediate community, and then also something global that people know that, hi, I'm out here. If you need a speaker that isn't, a dancer and all those different things. Sorry, I was gonna say that wasn't not dancers anymore, but
good thing Katrina's not here. She comes from a dance background.
I'm not a dancer.
The representation piece, right? Like, like, I want people to see that I'm here and there's people like me that are out here in the Pilates space that have something to contribute to the greater conversation, whether it's, global Pilates conference or whatever. So like that piece is also important to me. So I try and do both.
That's great. And I can only imagine that what you're doing now with Core Conversations, while you're come from, correct me if I'm wrong, is not just to attract clients. It actually does happen because these conversations are so interesting and compelling, and no matter who you listen to, you're going to find some thread that's relevant to you.
Yes.
And I find this whole approach really powerful and fascinating, really.
Yeah, thank you. It's like what you're doing though. Like when you have 20 years of experience in consulting, generally speaking, and then you distill it down to the fitness space, and distill it down more to the Pilates space, and then distill it down to on demand in the Pilates space.
Yeah.
That's like special and unique, and not everyone can do that way.
I often reflect on my 59 years of life now, that without realizing it, every choice that I made, everything that I did, and I've done a lot. I was a musician for 20 years. I was in real estate. I had a Series 22 securities license, worked in the family business, ran a renovation company while I tried to figure out what I was going to do. And then 2000 hit and I opened the agency.
Yes.
But what I didn't realize is that the universe was steering me into decisions and choices that gave me another tool in my tool belt.
Yes.
That suddenly all these tools were related in a way that only this period of time made them relevant.
Yes.
Including the fact that I came to these ladies not being a fitness guy. So I'm looking at fitness from the point of view as the buyer, not the practitioner.
Yes. Those are fresh eyes. Like those are totally fresh eyes on the work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time a few months ago, almost a year ago now, where I had an opportunity to apply for a really, really special opportunity. And I went through this whole process and I was wrestling with it because it would mean I'd have to move, but it was a massive opportunity, struggling with it. And then as I was talking with a good friend of mine, he was saying, everything that you've done in your life work-wise is culminating in this moment. Mm-hmm. It's a culminating moment. So the days of working in big box gyms and training people I can't stand, right? Or like the days of being a trainer and working in other industries and being in social work and asking questions and all these different things I've done was culminating in this one opportunity. And then he said, and if you don't get it, it's still culminating until that next moment.
And eventually you will. If you're not listening in that moment, it's still in there.
Right.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, it was it was like an exciting moment and a calming moment at the same time where it's like, okay, yeah, let's go really hard at this. Like, this is going to be it. But if not, we're still in that process of learning and culminating all of our experience until that moment where there's that beautiful flow.
Yeah.
And good thing you had the tools to build all this.
Oh, yeah. I wish you were closer by, Martin, because I would love to get you on the mat. And when our teachers come here for the first time and get on camera and there's 8 of them, there's a moment of, oh my God, who are you talking to? Wasn't Andrew Nicholson?
Yes, the basketball
guy? Said something. No, Andrew Stalteri.
Mm-hmm.
Way back in the beginning, I think episode 4, yeah. Oh, he is. Yep. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Andrew said something that I was like, okay. So he says, I'm going to quote, he says, I'm weird in front of cameras. I prefer to be behind the scenes, helping others to succeed. And I'm like, I love this guy already, and I've not even seen his face.
Yes.
And so getting back to people come in the studio, and some of them are uncomfortable on camera. Others, like Emily and Lori, every time they have an opportunity, because we have 8 cameras, to look into the lens and connect with the person who's watching and listening, they do it. And it's so beautiful because our situation is very intimate. You can see the light in her eyes.
Yes.
She's not 20 feet from the lens. It's beautiful.
Right.
And from a facilitated point of view, for a guy like me that doesn't know what I'm doing, I see every detail. And they learn to cue in ways that the beginner, just tell me what to do and how many times to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. I see Matters of Movement, just like Christina just came in the room, and she has a great on-demand platform and just had some great support there too. So this would be a great conversation for you to tune in and watch the replay from the beginning. Because I want to change gears and talk more about the consulting thing. Like on your website, I see like you have brochures and you have like mind-body training and Google, like that side of the business to all the boring nuts and bolts admin stuff that isn't sexy for Pilates.
Boring.
It's funny, right? For some people, they're just like, I could have $10,000 in billing out there, and I won't chase it down because I can't stand the admin side.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean, and just hypothetically speaking, right? So like, there's certain people that just are, and others are super excited and have everything documented. So, when you're like, can you speak to that consulting side of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I already said this earlier, and it's worthy of repeating, is that we don't do anything for others that we are already doing for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So the consulting is just, this really works for us. See, this is how we're doing with this. If you want it, here it is. And one good example that Lori's got her hands all over is the done for you evergreen social media content. Because all boutique fitness people at some point struggle with what do I post? What do I post? How do I keep up with this, right?
Oh, another week went by.
Right? So what we do is we craft relevant content like Joe quotes. You see these a lot. Joe quotes and Fun Fact Friday, Trivia Tuesday, whatever. And that's evergreen content that you schedule that and then you engage on it, but then you fill in the holes with those moments of inspiration. Rather than having to rely on 17 moments of inspiration in any given week.
Right.
Because we do all the work ahead of time, all the person has to do is drop in their colors and change the logo. And if I'm a Pilates studio in Hadley and our client is in, Spring or Hartford even, our clients aren't the same. Right. So they don't see the same posts.
Right.
So that's just one example of how we create it, use it, and then unbrand it and let you buy it for cheap.
Yes. Yeah. So smart.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When I sit down to schedule our those evergreen posts, I do them for a year out. So I did them at the very end of December, and it's, at this point, set it and forget it. And then next year comes around and I do the same thing. Yeah. It's just, it just gets easier and easier and easier.
All right.
Absolutely.
What's another example of the way we make what we do?
Oh, well, all of the brochures we've been working on.
You asked about the brochures.
Yeah. We, have been steadily, and actually right before the pandemic, especially reaching out and making relationships with orthopedic surgeons, midwives, OBGYNs, and have created brochures that are very much targeted to their patients and whatnot. So we have a bunch of those created, and that can be so daunting because you have to, there's just so much content to write and so much how do I get this information so this
and get it in the right voice.
Get it in the right voice, and so this orthopedic surgeon who's super duper busy actually wants to look at it and actually wants to make referrals to us. So that's a big project, and I know a lot of Pilates instructors don't have that time or that desire.
I want to talk a little bit about one detail. We see a common pattern is when someone who's not a professional marketer decides to do a marketing piece, and a brochure is a great example, or they do their own website, their voice is usually about them because they make that mistake. This is all about me. The brochure that really works is absolutely about the person reading the brochure. The only thing that's about us is the URL and the phone number.
Yeah, where to find us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we, when we get somebody that calls us up and says, we want a brochure that covers it all, so we can just hand them to everybody. We're like, well, that's a brochure that won't work because no one will see themselves in it.
Yeah, that's called a book, actually.
Yeah, it's called a phone book. Yes.
Yeah.
Mark is always I hear it in my mind all the time when he taught me the phrase, nobody wakes up in the morning saying, I want to find a Pilates studio. They wake up in the morning saying like, oh, I just want to get out of this hip pain or knee pain.
Yes.
And that has totally changed the way I've been doing our marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did. Okay.
Sorry. No, please go.
We did Mind Body Bold last year, where I was a presenter, and we did a complicated topic, which was the retargeting.
Oh, yeah.
And it was remarkable how many people, like a light bulb went on over their head. It turned into something positive instead of something that they hated for all the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. People think tracking. I don't want to be that evil company that's tracking my customers.
Yeah.
And we changed a lot of minds, and we've sold a significant amount of, display retargeting ads as a result. And we pretty much just follow the model of what we do ourselves. Yeah. Again, if we do it and it works, we're comfortable selling it to you at a reasonable price.
Absolutely.
And that's where one of the places where you can really you can track your return on investment. You know exactly how much you're making per dollar you're spending.
I was looking at the replay the other day, and we showed a case study at the end, and I remember we both marveled at, if you look at the attribution report in Google Analytics, attribution is basically giving credit to different channels of marketing. Yes. 100 days out from the first contact, we were still making a fraction of a percentage of our revenue.
Wow.
Right? So you got to date them for days, weeks, months before sometimes they convert.
Right.
So that's a powerful realization right there.
Absolutely. I hope people are listening to this and thinking, okay, what am I doing with my business right now? And and taking a hard look at it, because I think it's a great conversation for that. And I was going to say, one of the powerful things on your page was right at the bottom of the consulting page where it says, not sure what you need? Mm-hmm. Press the button, right? Like, that's it. I mean, like, sometimes people are like, I need that, and 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 that would be nice, and I need that. So you really don't know what you need.
Yeah. The vast majority of people that come through that page, Martin, that's what they do, because they don't know. And even if they think they do, they see that as an opportunity to ask the expert that's not going to charge them for the time. That discovery call is about getting to know each other. And honestly, I will say no to a client more often because they're just not ready to be serious about building the systems.
Yes.
And I'm not shy about that. I say, I would love to work with you when you get to this point, when you know your numbers, when you have this set up. And if you need help with that, we could start there. But if you're asking for ads when you don't even have analytics set up, that would be a mistake, because then you can't figure out, is this working? You know what happens?
Yes.
I get blamed.
Yes.
Right? I get blamed.
True.
Yeah.
We also have we've worked with a lot of people who don't know what they need, and but also have that, like, I don't have a lot of money to, and I'm not showering money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have worked with people in really building a plan. Like, this is number one.
That's foundation work. Yeah.
And then this is number two. So I think that's also really helpful, because sometimes when you just don't know what to do, it's just so overwhelming. There's so much you have to do, and you just think dollars.
Yeah.
So just breaking it down one piece at a time and giving it to people in a really strategic way is something we love to do.
Yeah.
And we use a team approach to everything, so the process is really streamlined. Things happen really fast.
Yes.
Everybody's got their role, and we write down how it's done, so you're never refiguring it out over and over again. Yes.
Absolutely. Mark, before we came on air, we had a quick conversation. We touched on Pilates Dwell, one of my conversations with Kevin Lachi.
Yeah, that was such a wonderful episode. I want to know this.
Sure.
I think I remember that you guys met because you were in the same place at the same time that had something to do with a Pilates studio that wasn't yours. Is that true?
Yes. So in Michigan, I went to Michigan to see Chris Robinson do some workshops. So I was trained by him originally, and him being in Michigan, I live in Toronto, so Mississauga. So it's close enough that I could just cross the border. And at this workshop that he was doing in Michigan, Kevin was there. So we just started chatting, and from there cracking jokes and followed each other on Instagram and stuff. And then fast forward a year later, he was opening his studio.
Mm.
And then
Right.
I thought, well, so when you're opening your studio, I'm going to come down. I want to cheer you on. I want to be there. Da, da, da. So I decided I'm just going to drive up for his grand opening weekend. So I did that. And then Sonia Herbert Price decided to come, and another gentleman, Ed, another person that we met on Instagram, he ended up not being able to make it, but we all converged on his studio in Michigan, and Nikki, Taylor Stewart, and others. So we just, it's like a digital meeting that we decided to continue to cultivate into a real relationship. And so that's how we, met and connected, and still stay, keep each other accountable and cheer each other on and
Nice.
stuff. So, and he's not a big Instagram live person. He just does his thing and just buries his head. But he felt like it was just important to just support me and just be there, and just show his face. And so that was a conversation that we had when we had one of our in real life conversations in front of a camera, right? And you saw it was a really authentic moment.
Yeah, and I heard him say something that really defined who he was as a fitness person. He said, I don't like classes where the instructor is just talking to me, so he doesn't like to watch the videos.
Yes.
So he defined himself in that moment as the in-person, not only instructor, but if he's going to do fitness, he wants to be with others.
Yes.
And I totally respect that. And when you look at his photos and you see the love and the passion in his eyes and the laughter in his voice, and he just struck me as a really super guy that I wish I could work out with. I could maybe change my paradigm and be a studio gym guy if I had people like you and him to go. I know they're around. I'm making excuses.
I know.
Another thing that I loved about Kevin is that he was very honest and transparent about hardship and financial hardship around the pandemic and the hardship he's experienced as a person of color.
Yes.
And when you juxtapose his experience in a market that's full of mostly women, that oftentimes money is not, there's no hardship for them. And God bless them. I sometimes I wish I had those kind of resources. But he was so very transparent about how badly he did have to get paid. But that in no way lessened his passion for the work itself and for the people that he helped.
Right. That's so inspiring, right? And it's I remember him saying that, and what do you say to that? Like, you see it, like he lives out that joy.
Yeah.
And everything he does. So
he's got such a great laugh too.
Yeah.
You remember you guys were both in tears at one point. He says, I'm getting all moist.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's an interesting journey that we're on, right? And the journey continues. But at that point in the journey, for everyone who is just watching, I'm on episode 76.
Yeah.
He was episode 5, I believe. Right? So
episode
I've got him on 6.
Mark takes it.
Right.
Mark takes it.
Like, yeah, exactly. So 70 episodes ago, we were like right in the middle of really what was a racial awakening to some degree, the George Floyd, people that was at the front of their minds. And we were in this place where representation meant something different. Our voices meant something different. People across the world were looking at things in a different lens and saying, depending on the color of your skin, you're looking at like, where am I in this conversation? And so that was the conversation we're having, and that's what brought us to tears, is because I was doing these chats and I was feeling the stress of that, and also feeling like I won't say being attacked, but being challenged in a way that you'd feel like these are the people who are supposed to be supporting you, and you're not getting that support. And then it's finally in a place with someone who who saw me and heard me and just felt what I was feeling, right? So
Yeah, sure.
it's interesting, like just the fact that you brought that up this morning, Mark, that brought me back to that moment to think, okay, that was a serious, precious moment. And where are we now as a community? That's the assessment question that I ask of people, right? Like, where are we now? At that moment, we were very aware of everyone around us. And there's many people that say that we've started to turn inward again.
Yeah.
You know, and I ask you this too, like from your perspective, what does that look like? Because I know that there must have been a time when you're thinking, oh, I need to get a book, I need to find someone, I need to make sure I don't say the right thing or I say the right thing. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, you're talking around the race issues, right?
Around the race issues and
yeah,
the in the Pilates space, right? Like it's very acute here.
We talk about it a lot. Katrina is very activist, you know, oriented. She throws money at political people that resonate with her. And one of the things that I'm really aware of, especially since the pandemic, is, and I hear other people saying this too, is afraid to say something for fear of getting it wrong. And I'm a guy that's not afraid of much, but I love to connect with people. And I have to admit, since the pandemic, I'm a little post-traumatic, is everybody's more on edge than they were. And now we have this whole issue around inequality and representation, not only in the Pilates world, but just in the world in general. And we're working hard to learn how to talk about it and be transparent and open to learning, you know, the right way to be. And it's hard. It's an ongoing, everyday thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an on-demand kind of guy. You know, those workouts can be tough sometimes, but you only get better, right? So
practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice.
Exactly.
Every day.
I wanted to ask that in the kind of a safe environment, because like sometimes people feel like, whoa, we can't talk about it. We're afraid to say anything. We can't. But like someone said here, I asked, like, where are we now? Right? I mean, like, I think we need to be asking that question. Like, you know,
we have to ask that question every day until it doesn't even occur to us to ask it anymore, because things are so good and we see each other for who we really are and not for whatever we're wired to judge and, you know, categorize people, whether it's their race or their religion or the size and shape of their body, you know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So then, I mean, and so when that comes down to it, I'm really big on the representation piece. So I'm sure you've had to think about that when you look at, you know, pictures on your website and just like how you present, like all those different things, right? So how have those conversations been, and how has that been for you in your process?
We talk every Sunday morning as a team. We get together for 90 minutes. And I remember like maybe 8-9 months ago, we were looking at images.
Yeah.
And we clearly were like, oh, that's inappropriate. We're now very much aware of if you're going to use a stock image.
Yes.
Representation is important, and we work really hard at that. And one of the things that makes it hard is we live in a very white area. We can't find an instructor any color other than our color. And I lived in New York for 7 years, so I'm used to being surrounded by all different kinds of interesting ethnicities and parts of the world. And that's the only real downside for me of living where we live. As wonderful as it is here, I wish it were more diverse. Yeah.
Just reading some of the comments here, like what we've done today is move the needle. Like, and that's exactly, we move the needle when we have these conversations, when you do, like what you said, like those conversations you're having, those 90-minute talks and looking at things. I almost call it like a representation audit. Like, I think people come to a place where like, whoa, okay, let's look at this again and make sure that this reflects, you know what I mean? Like, and I said it in one of my other talks too, like the lowest hanging fruit for me when you talk about, you know, the other people, or people who've been othered, is men, right? And Pilates and men. Like, you mean, like, do you have men coming into your studio? Do you have older adults coming into your studio? Do you have so if we can set some boundaries of some framework there, and then continue to use, much like you said, your business model you could replicate that and just scale that out with everyone else that needs to be in your space. I think we are moving the needle.
Yeah. Yeah, and that demographic is so important to, you know, get the people that are near you. And for us, we have an older demographic, but lately since the pandemic, we're seeing much younger and more men. I'm seeing like middle-aged 40s, 40s to 50-year-old men. And I don't know if it's anything we're doing. I don't think it is.
No, I've been here for 22 years, and just watching what Pilates was in 2000 and how the demographic has completely been changing, and variety, and why people do Pilates. It's been really incredible to witness that for such a span of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
People can pronounce it now.
Right, exactly. There's a question here. Is your online platform inviting people of color or more men?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Eli, my associate producer, he's here in the room. We're right now combing the internet for men specifically, because we are men. And since I'm in the Pilates world, I love the women that I work with, but I need to be around some men too. I like the energy that men share when they're with each other. So yes, in fact, men were reaching out to get them to come and record with us. We've got an East Indian fellow who's going to do several really cool things from, did you hear about this from
I haven't heard about this yet.
He's going to do the Bollywood dance class.
What?
Right?
Very fun.
Yeah, and a couple of other things, and I haven't met him yet, but I've heard his voice and his energy, and I'm just very excited. So
it's going to be amazing. And we have Paul from across the bridge over there, amazing yoga instructor, just the light.
So yes to the men, yes to the people of color. I look for passion. It doesn't matter what color. It doesn't matter. And no, we're looking for passion. We want FitStreams to be a collection, because here's my opinion. The the boutique fitness industry has the best fitness professionals on the planet. But right now, virtual business is being dominated by big brands who hire people with way less experience and expertise than those of us in the boutique. So FitStreams is going to be pandemic survivors, the most passionate, the most diverse, and presented in a uniform and consistent way. Because I've got to respect the business side of things and make sure that it's not complete chaos in the way it looks.
Of course, yeah.
The way we structure the classes and we level everything.
There is a consistency there, that somebody might not even see, but they feel it, and they get very comfortable, and
Right.
I could talk to you guys for another hour on this.
Yeah, me too.
Man,
Wow, we've been on an hour, and I just got the alert that my headset's going to go dead.
Yes. Let's book a round two, because Laura, I didn't even get into like your Pilates journey story.
Love to. Yeah, I would love to.
So maybe reach out let's find another date, and let's do a show with you and Mark join us.
Awesome. He can
Sounds like a good plan.
He can be my assistant.
Yes, exactly.
That'd be very fun. I'm very, very fun. I would love to.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to read some of these comments here that came through earlier. So thank you so much. Core Love Culture. See some other people coming through. Air Control Pilates. Yes, Debbie Robbins, you definitely got to watch this again. She also has a fantastic platform. She does Air Control Pilates is her site, so follow her after as well.
Ooh, definitely.
Cool.
Check her out. She's in where is she? Scotland?
Ooh, I want to mention this, Martin, since we're all about co-opetition. Our instructors that come here to film, we give them the files. So even though we're putting them on our platform, we welcome and encourage them to put them on their own. Yes.
Yes.
So co-opetition, my friend.
There you go. Love it. All right. Thank you so much.
What was her studio again? Air what Pilates?
Air Control Pilates. I don't know if she said it. I just screenshot it and I'll send it to you.
Cool.
Yes. Cool. Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome. If you talk to Kevin, encourage him to reach back. I've pinged him. I really would like to meet him. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I'd love to see him in your space doing that too. That'd be so great.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. We'll do that.
All right. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.